She walks the gardens of Windsor with the calm of someone who no longer asks permission to belong. Beyond the tall hedgerows and sweeping drives of Royal Lodge, Sarah Ferguson, no longer a duchess in title, yet still in name, moves through rooms lined with centuries of legacy. She is not royal, she is not official, she is not exiled. And that may be the most fascinating contradiction of all. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The story of Sarah Ferguson is not one of scandal in the traditional sense. There are no new allegations, no dramatic resignations, or confessions whispered to waiting cameras. What makes her story so compelling, so quietly magnetic, is its resilience. Not defiance, not vindication, just persistence. She has remained in a world that was supposed to move on without her, and the world, somehow, allowed it. Once married to Prince Andrew, the second son of Queen Elizabeth II, Sarah was drawn into royal life through love, curiosity, and charisma. She brought warmth to the institution, color to the palaces, unpredictability to the protocol. And then she was gone. Divorced, unmoored from the family business. And yet she stayed. Royal Lodge is more than a mansion. It is a statement of position. It is not owned outright by Prince Andrew or Sarah Ferguson. It is held on a lease, a 75-year agreement signed decades ago, binding the property and its upkeep to Andrew's name. And yet, behind those grand gates, Sarah lives on. The divorce came and went. Scandals came and passed. Public attention flared, faded, flared again. But the arrangement endured. The Duchess of York, though no longer by law, never left. Not the estate, not the house, not, it seems, the institution. And here the questions begin to press. Why does she remain? By law, nothing prevents her from living there. By protocol, she has no official standing. By appearance, she is neither part of the royal machine nor separate from it. She exists in a kind of grey area, privately housed, publicly silent, quietly visible, and in the eyes of many, unaccountable. That word, unaccountable, hangs heavy over the walls of Royal Lodge these days. As Andrew battles the lasting fallout of allegations brought forward by Virginia Giuffre, as he retreats from titles, public duties, and royal roles, the conversation has naturally turned to his surroundings. The mansion, the lease, the life that continues comfortably within. And as the cameras pan to the gates of the lodge, Sarah Ferguson's name emerges, less as an accessory and more as a question. What does it mean for someone with no title, no formal duties, and no marital tie to the royal family to remain within one of its grandest residences? Her defenders point to family loyalty. After all, she and Andrew share 2 daughters. They have spoken often of their closeness. They attend events together. They celebrate holidays together. She calls him her best friend, and so she remains. But critics see something else, a symbol of a monarchy struggling to let go of its past, struggling to redefine its boundaries. In a time when the institution is trying to modernize, trim, and tighten, Sarah Ferguson's quiet persistence at Royal Lodge appears out of step with the new direction. This tension is not loud. It doesn't break headlines. It doesn't explode across front pages. It hums beneath them, a kind of quiet discomfort, a reminder that while the monarchy may shed titles and press releases, it often struggles to shed the arrangements that lie beneath. Sarah has not tried to hide. She gives interviews.
She writes books. She posts messages of resilience and healing. She champions causes. But she does not directly address the heart of the matter. Her continued place at Royal Lodge, even as the man she once married, fades further from public acceptance. This is not to say she is guilty of anything, but as Andrew attempts to retreat from the limelight, symbolized most recently by his relinquishment of the Duke of York title, he cannot retreat from the house, and neither can she. The residence has become its own story, a structure of stone and memory, a palace of persistence, a contradiction. For in a world where optics are everything, where the public's patience with royal privilege has worn thin, Sarah Ferguson's residence at Royal Lodge feels like an unanswered question left too long on the page. Observers ask, should she still be there? Not because she has done wrong, but because she is no longer rightfully included. The royal family has made it clear its desire to represent a slimmer, more modern face. Yet here is a woman who hasn't held formal status in nearly 2 decades, still living among its privileges. Of course, one could argue that the real issue is not Sarah at all. It is Andrew. The lease is his, the terms are his, but herein lies the nuance. By staying, she validates the arrangement. She protects it. She shields it from looking quite so fragile. Alone, Andrew in Royal Lodge appears embattled. With Sarah there, it appears like family. And perhaps that's the strategy, a buffer, a narrative of unity, a suggestion that the house is more than scandal, that it is still, somehow, a home. But public sentiment is changing. In recent years, the royals have faced unrelenting pressure to be transparent, accountable, and lean. In this environment, a sprawling estate occupied by a man stripped of titles and a woman who technically holds none begins to look like a relic, not a right. Sarah has built a life outside the palace gates. She has commercial projects. She has income. She has, in theory, independence. And yet she remains within Windsor's embrace, not by force, not by demand, by choice. It is that choice that now stands in contrast to a monarchy trying to show that titles must mean something, that privilege must follow purpose. And though her name is not in the headlines, her address is. What message does it send to a country questioning the role of royalty in modern life? That someone can exit the institution but not its comforts? That duty can end but luxury can remain? To Sarah, Royal Lodge may be a sanctuary, a familiar place in a world that has often been hostile. She may see it not as privilege, but as home. And maybe she is right. Maybe she has earned peace. But the nation is no longer content with silence in the face of legacy. It wants answers. It wants clarity. And Royal Lodge, once a place of pageantry and hospitality, now sits under a microscope. What happens next is uncertain. Andrew may one day be forced to relinquish the lease. The Crown may step in. Parliament may push forward, or time may simply erode the arrangement, as time tends to do. But whatever unfolds, Sarah Ferguson's role will no longer be overlooked. She has remained too long, too quietly, too close to power to stay invisible. Whether by legal right or institutional blind spot, her continued presence at Royal Lodge has become part of the larger question facing the monarchy. What does it mean to belong? To be royal? To be removed? To remain? In the shadow of scandal, in the hush of ancient corridors, in the silence between headlines, Sarah Ferguson lives on at Royal Lodge. And the world waits to see if the house, like the institution it represents, will finally decide who is in and who is out.